Think about the greatest athletes you have ever seen. The ones who made their sport look effortless. The ones who operated on a level that made you question whether what you were watching was even real. Michael Jordan, Usain Bolt, Muhammad Ali. Those names carry weight because they were not just great. They were untouchable at their peak. Floyd Mayweather belongs in that conversation. And depending on who you ask, he might be at the very top of it. 50 professional fights, 50 wins, not one loss, not one draw. In the most unforgiving individual sport on the planet, where one bad night ends everything, Floyd Mayweather never had a bad night. So, how good was Floyd Mayweather actually? To answer that, you have to go back to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Long before the money, the mansions, and the spectacle, Floyd Mayweather was just a kid with a pair of gloves and something to prove. Born on February 24th, 1977, Floyd Joy Mayweather Jr. did not stumble into boxing. He was born into it. His father, Floyd Mayweather Sr., was a welterweight contender who once fought Sugar Ray Leonard. His uncles, Roger and Jeff, were both professional fighters. The gym was not just a hobby in the Mayweather household. It was survival. But survival was not guaranteed. Floyd Sr. was incarcerated during a critical stretch of his son's childhood, and young Floyd was raised primarily by his grandmother.
I'm just happy that, that my children didn't have to go down the road that I went down. As far as I was involved, I had my life was really a roller coaster ride. People kind of know the background of Floyd Mayweather. I stayed in Jersey. I lived with my mother, and 7 of us lived in a 1-bedroom.
The streets of Grand Rapids were unforgiving, and without the discipline of the gym, things could have gone a very different direction. That gym became everything. By the time Floyd was a teenager, it was clear he was not just following in his family's footsteps. He was about to blow past them entirely. His footwork was already supernatural. His reflexes were ahead of his age. He was mastering the shoulder roll, the pull counter, the check hook. Techniques it takes most fighters a decade to understand. Floyd was learning them as a kid. He was a different breed from the start. His amateur career confirmed it. Mayweather compiled a staggering amateur record of 84 wins and 6 losses, capturing 3 consecutive National Golden Glove championships from 1993 to 1996. He was the most talked about amateur in the country, and when the 1996 Atlanta Olympics arrived, the entire boxing world was watching. Representing the United States as a featherweight, Mayweather was electric. He moved through the early rounds like a ghost. Untouchable, unpredictable, surgical. Every opponent came in with a game plan. Every opponent left without one. He was on a collision course with Olympic gold. And then the semifinal happened. A split decision against Serafim Todorov of Bulgaria. 3 judges, 2 saw for Todorov. 1 saw what everyone in the arena saw, that Floyd Mayweather had just won that fight. The gold medal was gone. The moment that was supposed to define his amateur legacy became the moment that lit a fire underneath him that never went out. He walked away with bronze, but make no mistake, the way Floyd Mayweather carried himself leaving those Olympics, you would have thought he won the whole thing, because in his mind, he already had.
I think that, I don't really want to say I won a bronze medal. I think it's best to say I received a bronze medal, because you can't win a bronze if you lost.
May 2nd, he should have a gold medal hanging in his corner, but he didn't get her, did he? Someone took that from him, and that's why I resigned. My position was the senior referee judge of the United States. I monitored the judging and the refereeing, kept an eye on what was going on, how the decisions were going, how the referees were working. You look at the final score, anybody with one eye at 90 years old can tell me that Floyd Mayweather didn't score at least 40 blows in those 3 rounds. Floyd Mayweather won that bout. He won every round.
And that is exactly what happened. Floyd Mayweather Jr. turned professional in 1996 under the promotional banner of Bob Arum's Top Rank. From the very first bell of his professional career, it was obvious this was not going to be a normal fighter's journey. He was too fast, too smart, too disciplined. His first 15 fights did not just end in victories. They ended in dominations. Fighters who came in with plans left without answers. But the real coming out party arrived on October 3, 1998, when Mayweather challenged WBC super featherweight champion Genaro Hernandez. Hernandez was a legitimate champion, a slick southpaw who had held the belt for years and was widely considered one of the best fighters in the division. The fight lasted all of 8 rounds before Hernandez's corner threw in the towel. Floyd was 21 years old and a world champion. The money and the fame were not there yet, but the foundation was being laid.
Anything can happen. I always believe in my skills, always believe in my talent, but anything can happen in the sport of boxing.
Over the next several years, Mayweather ripped through the super featherweight and lightweight divisions with a ferocity that made boxing fans scramble for words. He stopped Diego Corrales in the 10th round in 2001 in one of the most brutal performances of his early career. But if there was ever a moment when the world got the closest it would ever get to seeing Floyd Mayweather truly cracked, it was the Jose Luis Castillo fights. Castillo was a Mexican warrior, a pressure fighter with granite hands and the kind of chin that simply would not quit. In their first meeting in April of 2002, Castillo walked Mayweather down for 12 rounds, landed harder shots than anyone had ever put on Floyd before, and left the boxing world genuinely debating whether the judges had gotten it right when they scored it for Mayweather. It was the most vulnerable Floyd had ever looked. Corners were buzzing. Fans were arguing. For one night, the idea that Mayweather could be beaten felt real. And Floyd knew it. So he demanded the rematch. 4 months later, same 2 men, same MGM Grand. This time, Floyd left no doubt. Picking Castillo apart from the outside with a performance so precise, so controlled, that it felt less like a fight and more like a message. Not just to Castillo, to everyone. You saw the closest you were ever going to get. It was not close enough. He was named Fighter of the Year by multiple publications. He was on every pound-for-pound list in the sport. But something was still missing. The mega fight. The moment that would put him on the Mount Rushmore of boxing for casual fans as well as hardcore ones. That moment came on a massive scale when Mayweather made the jump to welterweight and set his sights on the big names. In 2007, he stepped into the ring with Oscar De La Hoya in one of the most anticipated bouts in decades. De La Hoya was a golden boy, a celebrity, a former multi-weight world champion with a massive fan base. The fight sold over 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, shattering the record at the time, and generated over $130 million in revenue. Floyd walked out with $25 million, the biggest prize a welterweight had ever collected. And Mayweather, fighting as an underdog in the eyes of the public, put on a clinic. 12 rounds of chess that Floyd controlled from the first bell to the last. The nickname Money was not just a personality. It was becoming a business plan.
And he lands the right cross across the top. The hand in the center of the ring. Where does Mayweather go from this pinnacle after claiming that he's going to retire? They fight.
He did not have him. Nobody did. The judges saw it for Mayweather, and a new era in boxing was born. The star was fully made. But with superstardom came everything that comes with it. The pressure, the spotlight, and the complications off the canvas. Mayweather's personal life was turbocharged with controversy. Legal issues, a publicized jail sentence in 2012, and a series of domestic violence allegations followed him throughout his career and tarnished the public's perception of the man behind the gloves. For many fans, those actions could never be separated from the fighter's brilliance, and that complicated legacy would follow him well beyond the sport. But inside the ropes, nothing complicated him. In September of 2013, Mayweather squared off against Saul Canelo Alvarez, a rising Mexican superstar who was undefeated, physically enormous for the weight class, and fighting in front of one of the most passionate fan bases in combat sports. The bout sold over 2.2 million pay-per-view buys and generated nearly $150 million in pay-per-view revenue alone, a new record at the time. Floyd's personal take approached $80 to $100 million when all was said and done, making it the richest fight in boxing history up to that point. And, once again, Mayweather turned in a masterpiece, using angles, timing, and sheer genius to neutralize everything Alvarez threw at him over 12 rounds.
Most of this fight tactically, and it frustrates the opponent. Canelo gets the ropes. Canelo is a big puncher.
And unless something very good.
And in this 12th round now is Alvarez. He fought a very good fight here tonight.
The size dip has been negated by the Abizarra Floyd Mayweather, now going on in 6 years. Floyd Mayweather.
No pude agarrarlo. Es un peleador muy elusivo, muy inteligente y no pude agarrarlo simplemente.
Simple, I couldn't catch him. He's very elusive. He's a great fighter. And that's what happened today. I could not catch him.
Finding the way to get to Floyd Mayweather was simply not something most men could do. And nowhere was that clearer than on May 2nd, 2015, in what was billed as the fight of the century. After years of negotiations, false starts, and the most prolonged will they, won't they in boxing history, Mayweather finally stepped in the ring against Manny Pacquiao. The Filipino senator, the people's champion, the one fighter fans genuinely believed could dethrone him. The MGM Grand Garden Arena was electric. The pay-per-view shattered every record in the sport's history, drawing over 4.4 million buys and generating more than $400 million in total revenue. Floyd personally walked away with approximately $250 million, placing him at the very top of Forbes' highest-paid athletes list for that year. The world watched. And Floyd Mayweather did what Floyd Mayweather always did. He controlled the fight from the outside, neutralized Pacquiao's angles, and walked away with a unanimous decision.
They're very effective with that lead right hand early, back into the ropes, and now Pacquiao missing upstairs. He's mauling us, coming up on the final minute of the second round.
And I think this last knockout blow.
There's a hard shot seconds upon us. Pacquiao.
His 48th professional victory. Untouched. Unflappable.
For you personally, what do you want to get out of the experience?
I wouldn't really want to say, the best pound for pound fighter in the world because, I'm no longer active. I would like to say, the best ever. It's not being cocky or arrogant.
By the time he prepared for what would be his final scheduled professional fight, a rematch against Andre Berto in September of 2015, Mayweather had accomplished everything the sport had to offer. 12 world titles across 5 weight classes, unanimous decisions, majority decisions, and stoppages against every type of opponent. An undefeated record that sat at 49-0. He won the Ring Magazine Fighter of the Decade for the 2010s. He was the highest paid athlete in the world for multiple years running, earning a 9-figure payday for the Pacquiao fight alone. And then, in perhaps the most stunning sidebar of his legacy, Mayweather came out of retirement in August of 2017 to face Conor McGregor, an MMA superstar with 0 professional boxing experience. The spectacle was unlike anything combat sports had ever produced. McGregor gave him rounds, which surprised some.
He did a great job in round 1, and already the hammer fist. The other sport, nice cover. And now switching continues to be Conor McGregor with the uptick. And again, McGregor utilizing his footwork behind the ball. You're right, and yet he has scored to be evident. Although again, utilizing the angles. Oh, there's a right hand and a left foot. Mayweather is hurting McGregor. McGregor stumbling.
But Mayweather finished him in the 10th, improving his record to 50-0 and pocketing an estimated $260 million, making it the single most lucrative fight of his career and cementing an already unbreakable mathematical legacy. So, how good was Floyd Mayweather actually? The answer depends on where you stand. For purists, he was the finest defensive technician the sport had ever seen. A man who took the sweet science to its most complete expression. His punch accuracy, his ring generalship, his ability to neutralize every style he faced. Southpaws, pressure fighters, counterpunchers, power punchers. It was beyond elite. It was historic. For others, the story is more complicated. The controversies off the canvas, the hand-picking of opponents in the eyes of critics, the fights that ended on scorecards rather than stoppages. Those are the footnotes that temper the narrative. But here is what nobody can take away. A kid who slept on the floor in Grand Rapids, who had his gold medal stolen by a judge's scorecard in Atlanta, who carried the weight of a broken family on his back every single time he laced up his gloves. That kid went on to become the highest paid athlete on earth. He turned his fists into a billion-dollar empire. He walked into every arena as the villain, took everything the crowd threw at him, and walked out undefeated every single time. 50 fights, 50 wins. Over $1 billion earned between those ropes. In a sport called prize fighting, Floyd Mayweather collected every prize there was to collect. For more of the best content in combat sports, stick with Prize Fighters and check out some of our other videos.